Alright, so we have to talk about Thunderbolts, and with this upcoming movie in the slate, it was so much stuff that is potentially going to happen in this movie, and with the lineup that we have, with people are calling this like the next anti-hero team in the MCU, and we have pretty interesting stuff, but now breaking within the last 12 hours, and that is with Steven Yeun, and that is no longer going to be a part of Thunderbolts, and he's not going to be Sentry, the centralized antagonist, and the main villain of this movie. It was so much more, and that's what I do for you guys in this video is breaking down this new report that we have about what is happening with Thunderbolts and what do we should expect with everything moving forward as well. And so if you're new, then be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so it's on any future videos. But now let's just hop into it. As I just mentioned, with this news that we recently started as a rumor that should have been taken with a grain of salt, but then hours after this was posted on many social media accounts, and now with major news outlets that have broken the news, and especially with the major trades that confirm that Steven Yeun has officially dropped out of the Thunderbolts and will no longer be playing Sentry in this film. And now even with that, there's big factors and implications that come with this news. Is that a reason with that being is obviously due to the Hollywood strike that has impacted the entire Marvel Studios slate. Even as we look at the slate right now, that it's been like reshuffling and just with all that, and even with Thunderbolts that was going through major changes, and even I think that's what caused him to drop out, or like, and even with that being with Steven Yeun, and the reason why he dropped out is because of due to scheduling conflicts, and that he's part of Invincible. He plays Mark Grayson, and even with other projects as well. It's even with everything that's been going on behind the scenes of Thunderbolts, it seems to be like a really challenging, and even like I think this is coming from Daniel RBK via his Patreon, and he's saying that with Thunderbolts is going into filming next year from March to July of 2024, so we'll probably not get it until like the year after that, probably like in 2025. But this is massive, and even with Sentry that is going to have to be recasted, or like what Marvel Studios is planning to do, even with a lot of changes that they're going through right now. On top of that, even with Robert Kirkman, who's the creator behind The Walking Dead, he has sort of confirmed that Steven Yeun's role in Thunderbolts that he'll be playing Sentry, and even coming from Daniel RBK before this news dropped, earlier yesterday, and that he tried on the suit. Is that it's the best suit for any Marvel Studios production. That he played the suit as Sentry, but then he just suddenly dropped out. It's because even as we look at Marvel Studios right now, they're struggling to maintain the quality, and you with the Thunderbolts and that, and trying to incorporate stuff into it, and probably that's what caused them to not be a part of this project. But even with all the stuff that's been going on right now, I think this is obviously the right choice. But even with Thunderbolts, which we haven't had any updates about, and that this is going to be unlike any Marvel movie we've ever seen, but I think this is a big deal. Even when Steven Yeun was first announced to play a Sentry in Thunderbolts, we didn't get any update from Marvel Studios about this casting, and even with the Hollywood strike, that like Sentry was going to make its MCU debut in Thunderbolts, that was going to be played by Steven Yeun, and that is no longer the case. I think a recast is definitely going to happen. But even with everything that we know about Sentry and the source material, is that he was going to first get the Super Soldier Serum, but then like he's going to make his debut in Thunderbolts in the MCU. And like he's gonna be the most dangerous, and like it sounds like a really cool superhero to be around in the MCU. And even with this lineup that was announced, and even with all that, even with the Hollywood strike that has definitely made an impact. But I think it's like sad. I think with Thunderbolts that's about to go into filming, I think Marvel Studios has to figure this out of who is going to play Sentry, who is going to replace Steven Yeun, and now that I think that's a wait and see for what the outcome is, especially as we get more details on Thunderbolts. And even with this movie, as going through major changes, and even with Steven Yeun as going to play like a big role, like the greatest superhero named Sentry, and even that with the film and like the role that Yeun was going to be a part of, it's not what he thought he was going to be, and even with this whole movie, it's probably going to be like another generic movie, unlike anything that we've ever seen from the MCU, and even that we heard from actors who are a part of this movie. And I think I don't know if we should be concerned for Thunderbolts, and even with this lineup that was announced way back at 2022's D23, and I think people were criticizing this lineup. But I guess with like Steven Yeun, that's not going to be Sentry, and I think that there's like many possibilities of who can replace Steven Yeun to play Sentry. People were saying that with Ryan Gosling could be Sentry, but we'll just have to wait and see at this point, especially with Marvel Studios' slate and how they're going to reshuffle and maintain all the quality of their projects. Even for another point that I want to make here is that when people that were saying that with Steven Yeun that he had to bulk up because Sentry is going to be the villain in the Thunderbolts. He's going to be centered as the centralized antagonist, and that with this character, it's going to go on to play a role in many film and TV in Marvel Studios' slate. So basically, in so many projects, and now we don't know if Marvel Studios is going to make an official announcement if Sentry is going to be a part of this film now, or if it's not to, but we'll have to wait and see. With the details that we know about Thunderbolts, that we know basically little, and even with the lineup, and even with Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross, that's also going to be part of this lineup, and even with Valentina, Allegra, Dafontie, who's also going to be a part of the movie as well, and probably recruiting a lot of people, as she did in Falcon and Winter Soldier and Black Widow, when she was recruiting John Walker and Yelena Belova to be a part of her team, her anti-hero team, their own version of the Suicide Squad, and even like I'm excited for Thunderbolts. I'm excited for what they bring to the table, but now with Sentry that is going to be recasted. But I think this could all go well if they do this right, and we don't know when it's coming out. Probably in a Phase 5 or 6, and that depends on their slate, and just with everything else. So for my final thoughts, I'm excited for Thunderbolts, and I'm excited that Steven Yeun is not going to be Sentry in this movie, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to recast the role, and even with this lineup of the team for the Thunderbolts, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm excited to see for how Marvel Studios is going to pull this off and how it's going to fit into the slate, whether in Phase 5 or 6, and even with that movie, it's going to have big implications and set up the future of the MCU, and even set up for Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross, and there's so much more, and I hope that they recast the character, and I'm excited for this movie as well. And so that is going to be it for this video, and just let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below, and what your thoughts on this news with Steven Yeun as not going to be Sentry and Thunderbolts, and just give me your thoughts and just let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications about future videos, and also follow my social, which are linked down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.